If you walk away now, you'll regret it forever, so listen carefully for your life. Carl had always been focused on one thing: success. From a young age, he had worked tirelessly to build his empire. His company was one of the top in the industry. He lived in a lavish mansion, and his wealth seemed limitless. Yet, despite all his material success, Carl often felt a deep sense of emptiness. Something was missing in his life, and he couldn't figure out what it was. One autumn afternoon, Carl received an unexpected invitation from his old mentor, Mr. Irfan. Irfan was an elderly man who had been a guiding force in Carl's life during his early career. Though he no longer worked as much, Irfan's wisdom and calm presence had always grounded Carl. Curious, Carl made his way to Irfan's modest home, situated in the outskirts of the city. It was nothing like his luxurious residence, but Carl always found peace in Irfan's humble surroundings. They sat in the small garden, sipping tea as the golden light of the setting sun filtered through the trees. After a few minutes of silence, Carl decided to open up. "Irfan, I have everything anyone could want. Wealth, success, all the material things I ever dreamed of. But there's a void inside me. I feel like I'm missing something deeper. What do you think is the key to true happiness?" Irfan smiled gently, as if he had been expecting this conversation. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out 2 sealed envelopes. "These contain something important," he said, handing them to Carl. "I want you to open the first one today, the second after 1 month. Follow the instructions carefully, and I think you'll find the answers you're looking for." Carl, intrigued and a little skeptical, took the envelopes. He opened the first one immediately. Inside, he found a simple note. "Spend the next month as if today is your last day." At first, Carl was confused. "What does this mean? What am I supposed to do?" he wondered aloud. Irfan simply smiled again and nodded towards the envelope. "You'll understand when you begin." Carl decided to follow the advice, though he wasn't entirely convinced. That evening, he looked at his life differently. Instead of working late on his business dealings, he spent time with his wife, Sarah, and their young daughter, Lily. They played games, laughed, and shared stories. For the first time in years, Carl felt truly present in the moment. The next morning, Carl took the time to call his brother, David. They hadn't spoken in years due to a bitter argument over an inheritance dispute. Carl apologized for the hurtful things he had said and invited David to come visit. The call was awkward at first, but as they talked, Carl felt a weight lifting off his shoulders. As the days passed, Carl continued to live as if each day could be his last. He took his team out for lunch instead of attending yet another board meeting. He helped his elderly neighbor with her groceries and donated to a local charity that had been struggling for funds. Carl began to feel something he hadn't felt in a long time: gratitude. Gratitude for the people in his life, for his health, and for the simple joys that money couldn't buy. By the end of the month, Carl was a changed man. The feeling of emptiness had faded, replaced by a newfound peace. He was more connected to his family, his employees, and even to strangers in the community. He realized that his obsession with wealth had caused him to overlook the things that truly mattered. When the month was over, Carl eagerly opened the second envelope. He unfolded the note inside, which read, "Live the rest of your life like the last 30 days." The words hit him like a bolt of lightning. It was so simple, yet so profound. Carl realized that Irfan wasn't just telling him to live recklessly or without concern for the future. Rather, he was urging him to prioritize what truly mattered: relationships, kindness, and personal growth. The most important things in life weren't the ones that could be bought or sold, they were the intangible things that lived in the heart. Carl's perspective shifted completely. He began to reevaluate his business practices. He started spending less time on profits and more time on creating a company culture that valued kindness and integrity. He worked with his employees to create a more ethical business model that supported sustainability and social responsibility. His wealth was no longer a means of personal gain, but a tool to make a positive impact on the world. He also deepened his relationships. Every weekend, Carl spent time with his family, taking long walks and having deep conversations. He began mentoring younger entrepreneurs, teaching them not just about success, but about living a balanced, fulfilling life. Years passed, and Carl became known not just for his business acumen, but for his generosity, wisdom, and compassion. His company flourished, but Carl found joy not in the growth of his wealth, but in the positive changes he had made in the lives of others. When Carl became a mentor to others, he passed on Irfan's lesson. He handed out the 2 envelopes to young people who were on the same path he had once walked, filled with ambition, but missing the deeper meaning of life. And, like Irfan had done for him, Carl encouraged them to live a life that was not just about achieving success, but about truly living. A life filled with love, purpose, and connection. Tell me in comment what was the moral of it, and subscribe to my channel and like this video if you enjoyed it.